everyone. Hope you are doing great. Welcome back to yet another session. And today we are going to continue with improve your communication skills. And today we are going to look at part 2. So yesterday we did part 1 and there were quite a few things that we did yesterday. I want you to take a pause here and quickly skim through your notes and figure out what all did we do yesterday. It's important that you recap so that we have a good continuation. Because I'm going to continue from where we left off in the last session. So take a pause and check if we are all good and you are kind of recalling everything that we did together. So we looked at the components of communication. We looked at what is a successful communication, what is not a successful communication. We looked at 15 amazing tips to be a successful communicator. We looked at verbal communication, non-verbal communication. Super. So if you remember the last session, we ended at idioms, where I explained the meaning of idioms to you. And today I want to share a lot of examples with you. Now, why do I want to do that? Because when you express yourself nicely, I'm not saying using heavy jargons or really fancy terms. When you bunch up simple words together, you become a better communicator because you're able to express yourself well. Now go back to your notes and see what have you written for idioms. What are idioms? So when we were talking about it in the last session, we spoke about idioms being expressions where there are different words that come together, but they mean completely different things. They literally don't match what the word says. A bone to pick, for example, it's not like you're literally picking up a bone, right? Or let's say a snap, it's not that you click a snap. They're just a bunch of words. When you use it in the English language, they mean different things. All right, so let's go ahead and understand certain idioms. Okay, and the best part is I'm going to walk you through certain sentences as well so that you get the context. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first one is a big shot. I'm sure you would have heard of this one. When we say he is a big shot or she is a big shot, we mean to say that this person is really important and he or she is well known. People tend to know of him, right? So that's a big shot. Over here, you can see she had lunch with a big shot executive, right? So big shot means somebody who's well known. A bone to pick. Now, a bone to pick is not a bone that you pick for a dog or something. It's just a complaint or some sort of argument or some sort of misunderstanding, which you have to work towards to, kind of settle it. Now, over here, you can see the sentence, they have a bone to pick with Jennifer. She did not water their plants while they were away. So they need to go ahead and talk to Jennifer about she not doing the work that she was supposed to do. Next up, a pain in the neck. So we've heard this very often, right? So when you say this person is a pain in the neck, that means the person is pretty annoying. A snap of a finger. We say with a snap of a finger, you will be able to do this. That means very easily you will be able to do this. Making cookies from a mix. It's like if you have pre-mixed chai, all you need to do is add hot water, and even if a person does not know how to make good tea, with a snap, they are actually able to make great tea, right? Across the board. Across the board means relating to each and every person or a situation. Okay, like for example, the attendance policy is across the board, means it's the same for each and every person. It does not change depending on people. So usually when you have to talk about policies, they are the same for everyone. So you can use across the board. All right, moving on. All ears. All ears means I'm listening attentively. Okay, so when Bill was talking, Deborah was all ears. That means she was listening closely and attentively. All in the same boat means we all are in a similar situation. So whenever it's interview time, the preparation, everyone is in the same boat. Everyone has to prepare. They are in a similar situation, experiencing that nervousness, going ahead and preparing, researching about the company, and so on, right? Next is as easy as pie, which means really simple, really easy. Okay. So Susan told Tom this class would be as easy as pie, but he thinks it is really hard. So when she says as easy as pie, she meant to say it's going to be super easy. All right. Now take a pause here. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Out of these 8, pick any idiom and form a sentence. Pick any idiom out of these 6 and form a sentence so that you get the hang of it. Now, get the hang of it is also an idiom, which basically means with practice, you get used to it. It becomes very easy for you because you have practiced, right? So take a pause. Don't be lazy. Put that sentence in and then continue watching this video. So Kohli has a bone to pick with Nitin Menon. Okay. Awesome. What else? What else? I'm listening to this with all ears. This is a nice one. If you're listening to this recording with all ears, that means you're paying 100% attention. Let's move on. Back to the drawing board. So basically to come back to the planning stage or to come back to the original place, that's back to the drawing board. So whenever you have to re-strategize, re-plan, you use that. So let's say if you failed badly in an interview, okay? Now you have to restart from the beginning. So you'll say that my interview did not go quite well. So I'm back to the drawing board. Now I need to plan my answers again, what I'm going to speak in the interview. After these sessions, speaking English would be as easy as a pie. I like that. Yes, absolutely. Bad mouth. Bad mouth means talking bad about someone or something. So Kelly is always bad mouthing people. That means she's always talking embarrassing or bad things about people. So I'll give you one example here. Never bad mouth about your previous employer, which means never ever talk anything negative about the previous company that you worked in. So there you saw we use the idiom bad mouth. Let's go to the next one. Barking up the wrong tree. So basically it means by mistake, you're pursuing something else. You're pursuing the wrong course. So for example, course does not literally mean your course. It just literally means that you are going the wrong path. Okay. When she told him she was from Texas, he realized he had barked up the wrong tree by making jokes about people from the South. So it's as simple as, let's say, you're making fun of people from South India, and then you realize that this person with whom you're cracking jokes about South India, he or she is from there. So you've barked up the wrong tree in front of the wrong person. You went ahead and said things you should not have spoken about, right? Moving on, beat around the bush. I think this is a pretty common one, which basically means talking round and round the same thing again and again in different ways. So politicians are known for beating around the bush. Even in case of interviews, you would have noticed when we are nervous, when we don't have proper answers, we keep talking the same thing, framing the sentences in a different manner, right? So that's called beating around the bush. Next is beat. Beat means extremely tired. The kids are beat. Let them go to sleep. They are exhausted. They're tired. Let's not trouble them, right? Beats me, not to know, usually the answer to a question. So let's say, Mom, did he leave? I do not know. So instead of saying I do not know, beats me, you can say this. In India, we don't use this pretty often, but yes, in the American culture, you will see these idioms being used pretty often. Bent out of shape. Bent out of shape means to become upset about something. So Mark really got bent out of shape about the D on his history report. Okay, so he felt upset. He was kind of disappointed that he got D. So he was bent out of shape when he realized he's not scored well in his history paper. Bite the bullet. So bite the bullet means accepting punishment, or if somebody is blaming you for something, you accept it. Okay, so Mark is going to bite the bullet and go talk to his dad about his bad grade. He's going to accept it that, yes, my dad will give me the punishment. Maybe he will yell at me. He's accepted that. And then he says, okay, let me go and talk to my father now. All right. Let's take a pause again and let's do the same thing. We've done quite a few idioms. Back to the drawing board, bad mouth, barking up the wrong tree, beat around the bush, beats me, bent out of shape, bullet. Still here, pick any one idiom and put it in a sensible sentence. Go for it. So English language can be fun if you gamify things. If you learn, you pause, and then you try to implement. If you only keep focusing on the videos and not taking action, it's not going to help. So pick any one idiom, go ahead, make a sentence, and I would love to know it. Get to the point. Stop beating around the bush. That's a good one. That's a good one. What else? After finals, Indian fans are bent out of shape. Yes, that's a good one. So bent out of shape means upset, disappointed. And yes, after the finals, they are disappointed. Awesome. Moving on. Bottom line. Bottom line means the foundation, like the most important thing. So the bottom line is that Kathy just does not want to do it. That's the real meaning. That's the real issue. Okay. Break a leg means to wish all the best to somebody. Okay. Does the play start tonight? Well, break a leg. So you're asking somebody, does it start tonight? If it does, all the best. And how you're saying it is by saying break a leg. How he is so good at math, it beats me. Okay. Yeah, it's a good one. How he's so good at math, I don't know. So you're saying it beats me. That's a good one. Break someone's heart. I think this is a common one. When you disappoint someone, you hurt someone. Cindy's dad really broke her heart when he could not come for her graduation ceremony. Break the ice. I think you would have heard break the ice as well. When two people there are two strangers who are meeting for the first time, there is a discomfort, right? So one person has to go ahead and take the initiative to talk. So that's called breaking the ice, where they go ahead and start the conversation. So Jim broke the ice at the party by starting a really stupid but funny game. So everyone was uncomfortable. They were all strangers at the party, and Jim broke the ice, which basically means he created a comfortable environment by being the first one to go ahead and start something. Brush up on something. So we say this pretty often. I want to brush up on my Excel skills. I want to brush up on my Python skills, which basically mean that I need to make my skills sharper. I need to relearn something. I need to improve on something. So students need to brush up on their geography skills before the next exam. Okay. Moving on, bug. Bug means to annoy or pester somebody. So I think this is again a very common one. Stop bugging me, we say. Means stop annoying me. Next, burn the midnight oil. I'm sure you would have read this in at least one English textbook if you've gone through it. Burn the midnight oil means to stay up entire night or till very late because you are working or studying. Now, and this typically happens during exam time, right? They have a paper due tomorrow, so they will be burning the midnight oil. Great, let's take a pause here. We've done quite a few. Break a leg, break someone's heart, break the ice, brush up on something, bug, burn the midnight oil. Let's go ahead, pick any one idiom out of these and write a sentence. I'm not going to tell you, stop bugging me. That's a good one. Okay, let's move on. Call it a day. So let's call it a day means let's stop working. It's time to go home now. So Kate returned all the calls, filed everything. So she thinks she will call it a day. So let's say if, we end the session and then I say, let's call it a day. means, okay, we can now stop working and we can just go back to doing something which is leisure activity, right? So for cold feet, I get cold feet whenever I enter the examination hall. That's nice. Cold feet means being nervous, being anxious. That's nice. Um, catch up some Z's. So catch up some Z's means go to sleep. I have had a really tiring day. I just want to catch up some Z's now. So that means go back to sleep. Caught red-handed means somebody was doing something wrong and you caught them in the middle of that action. So let's say somebody was stealing, there was a thief who came and he was stealing something and you went and caught him red-handed, means you caught him doing that action, which is stealing. Okay, this has been a really tiring day. Dan wants to go catch some Z's. Sorry, Jack was caught red-handed while cheating on his final exam. So I'm sure this would have happened at least once in your life, or you have seen it at least once in your life, where students think that, okay, let me copy, who will come to know, but the teacher goes ahead and catches them red-handed. Okay, clean as a whistle. That means very, very clean. So John likes to have everything clean as a whistle, so he mops once a day. Okay, clean as a whistle means extremely clean. Clean slate means fresh start. Let's have a fresh start. Let's forget everything. So for that you say, let's go ahead and start with a clean slate, which means let's start all afresh. Cold feet, nervousness, anxiousness about something, like especially interview time, you develop cold feet, right? Chris got cold feet the night before his wedding. Cold turkey. Cold turkey means to immediately give up some bad habit. So let's say if somebody was into smoking, they could say, so let's say XYZ, let's say Jessica. Jessica wants to give up smoking cold turkey. So when I say smoking cold turkey, the bad habit of smoking, that's what it means. So in this case, Jessica wants to give up eating junk food cold turkey. Cost an arm and a leg is a very common one. Cost an arm and a leg, which means very expensive. Okay. So and so person's fancy car must have cost her an arm and a leg, which means that it must have cost her like a lot. In fact, we also say it would have cost a bomb. When you say cost a bomb, means it would have been very, very expensive. Let's take a pause here again. We've done quite a lot of idioms, and go ahead and frame one sentence out of any of these idioms. You could pick call it a day, catch some Z's, caught red-handed, clean as a vessel, clean slate, cold feet, cold turkey, cost an arm and a leg. Go for it. I get cold feet whenever I enter the examination hall. You have been very productive today. Go get some Z's. That's nice. Let's forget about our issue and start with a clean slate. That's nice. We've done enough work. Let's call it a day. Okay, that's nice. Good job. Let's move on. Sorry, just scrolling here. Okay, crunch time. So crunch times means when you have very limited time and there's a deadline approaching. So for many students, crunch time is right before midterms and finals. For many students, what happens, they're chilling all day long, and suddenly when it's deadline time, it's exam time, final exam, suddenly they realize, oh, I better start studying now. Hardly any hours or hardly any days are left, right? You can also say that I'm crunched for time. So let's say if somebody is giving you a lot of work and you don't have time to do it, you can say, I would love to do it, but I'm really crunched for time, which means I don't have enough time to do it in such a short deadline. All right. Moving on, days are numbered, which means that time is extremely limited. So Hank's days on the basketball team are numbered if he does not pass his algebra test. So probably his parents have told him that you have very limited time. If in this time you don't score well in your algebra exam, I'm sorry, you won't be allowed to go ahead and play basketball or baseball. Okay. Next up, down in the dumps, which means really sad, really depressed. Sarah has been really down in the dumps since her dog died. She was depressed. She was sad that her dog died. Drag one's feet. So drag one's feet means you're literally forcing yourself to do something. So let's say Saturday, Sunday, you really enjoy your weekend, and Monday you literally have you have to drag your feet to office. You have to force yourself to go get up on a Monday morning and groom yourself and reach office on time. Next up, drive one crazy. So this means this person is driving me crazy. It means this person is really annoying me a lot. Drive one up the wall also means to annoy. So his mom really drives him up the wall when she plays her classical music while he is trying to study. Okay. Moving on, drop in the bucket. It's like a small contribution in comparison to what is needed. So, for example, the children's gifts to the society were just drops in the bucket, but the children learned that giving is important, which means that they just made a very tiny contribution. But again, in this sentence, it means that they made a tiny contribution, but they learned the lesson that giving is important. So drop in the bucket is like a chota sa boon, like a very tiny contribution. Next, drop someone a line. So I'll drop him a line. I'll drop him a line means I'll write him, I'll send an email to him, right? So drop a line does not necessarily mean by email. It could just be to write in any form. Easier said than done, which means it's easier to talk about something than actually doing it. We say, right? आप तो बोल दोगे, बोलने के लिए बहुत आसान है, करने के लिए मुश्किल है. That is what is easier said than done. So, for example, losing weight by starting by starting an exercise program is easier said than done. So let's take a pause here and let's form a sentence. You could pick any from cost an arm and a leg all the way up till easier said than done. Stop driving me crazy. I'm busy and have to do some important work. Rahul is so stupid. He's driving me crazy. It feels like, it's a good opportunity for you to vent out what you're feeling right now. Okay, moving on. Easy does it. Easy does it means if you're not careful, then gone. Bill, that lamp is fragile means it can break. Better be careful. So you say easy does it. If you're not careful, that lamp is going to fall. Eating at someone. Something is really bothering or disturbing something. This thing is really eating my mind, which means it's really bothering me. Face to face, which means in person. Fair weather friend. Okay, this is a very common one. Fair weather friend means जब भी काम होता है तभी हमारी याद आ जाती है. It's that way. A friend who is a friend only when she needs you, whenever it is convenient for her or him, and then he forgets you whenever he or she does not need you. False alarm. False alarm means to panic over a situation, but later you realize that it was not even an emergency. You just panicked just like that. Okay. He thought his paper was due today, but it was a false alarm. He thought today was exam day, and then he realized, oh, it's not my exam day, right? Fell for it. Fell for it means to be tricked. So she played a prank and he fell for it. Means he got tricked into the prank. Fly off the handle. Fly off the handle means to be very, very, very angry. So the professor was so angry with his students' careless work that he flew off the handle during the class. Means he got really angry, he got very upset during the class. Okay. Follow in the footsteps. Follow in the footsteps means follow the person exactly the way he or she is doing things because you really get inspired by them. You really admire them. Okay. Moving on, food for thought means think about this. It's something that you need to give some time and attention to and think about it. They really like this column in the newspaper. It gives them some food for thought. It makes them think something. All right. Let's take a pause again, and we've done quite a few idioms. Let's go back and see if we can form a sentence for any one of these idioms. It's been a long time. Let's meet face to face. That's a good one. And COVID taught us the importance of face to face, meeting people in person, which is face to face. Yeah. Awesome. Let's move on. So going ahead from scratch. So I see one more. His joke was so good, I actually fell for it. That's a good one. So it sounded so real. I got tricked. I fell for it. Lovely. Moving on from scratch. We hear this very often. From scratch means right from the beginning. We are going to start it. So when Bob's grandmother makes muffins from scratch, they're the best in the world. She does not buy ready-made stuff. She actually starts from the scratch. Next, get a kick out of something. Get a kick means to actually go ahead and really enjoy something or really, have fun doing something. So Maggie really gets a kick out of seeing her friends have fun. So which means she finds joy in it. She feels happy when her friends have fun. Moving out, get with the program. Get with the program means to become aware or to be actively working in that thing. So for example, Pocahontas really needs to get with the program and finish all her reports for biology lab. Okay, really needs to get with the program, means to actively now this person needs to start working. Give one's right arm, right hand, as we say, right arm. Give everything or give a very, very, very good deed. So Tarzan would give his right arm to help people in trouble. He would give away his everything to help people, right? So let's quickly recap so far. These are getting slightly tougher as you see. So from scratch is pretty simple. Get a kick out of something means to have fun. Get with the program means to actively start working on something. Give one's right arm means to give everything away or to give something of very, very high value. And value does not mean money. It just means something that the other person would appreciate. Give someone a hand means to help somebody. All right. So Rachel, give Linda a hand with the dishes. Okay, so this means go ahead and help Linda. Okay, moving on. Go against the grain. Go against the grain means to be thoda different from the rest of the people, to stand out from the crowd. Okay, when Mel Gibson decided to protest, he really went against the grain, against the normal, against the standard, right? Let's take a pause here and try to form a sentence for any one of these idioms from, right from scratch to go against the grain. Pick one and you can form your own idiom. Tatas would give their right hand if India needs it. That's a good sentence. Elon Musk always goes against the grain. That's a good one again. So we know Elon Musk always doing something different from the rest of the world. And yes, this idiom fits in really beautifully. Great, let's move on. Go bananas or go crazy. It means, so don't go by the word crazy here. When you say, sorry, where did it go? Sorry. Go bananas or go crazy, it does not literally mean going crazy. It just means being really excited. I went bananas when I scored 100 on 100 in math. It means I went really happy, I got really crazy, I got very excited. Let's grab a bite. I'm really hungry. So grab a bite means let's go and eat something. It does not only mean to take one bite, but it means let's go and eat something. I'm going bananas for this concert. Absolutely. I'm going bananas about the fact that I could attend the concert. That means I'm really excited that I could attend the concert. Awesome. Let's go ahead. Green with envy. I turned green with envy. Means I was really jealous. I was really jealous because the person got something which I did not have. Right? Have one's hands full. Have one's hands full means I have so much work that I'm really, really busy. I can't take up more work. Hands full means I cannot take up more work. Calvin has his hands full this week, means he's very busy this week. Hit the books. Hit the books means to study hard. Megan went to the library to hit the books because she has a statistics test tomorrow. So she went to the library and she went to study hard because she has a test coming up tomorrow. Okay. In fact, for this one, have one's hands full, you can also say, my plate is full. That also works. That's an idiom again. My plate is full. I can't take in anything more. Okay, so we did hit the books. Hit the nail on the head, which means to be be exactly right, on target. So John hit the nail on the head when he suggested that Kathy has been so tired because she's been overworked. So he could get exactly what reason, what is the reason that Kathy is so tired and so tired and so exhausted. Next, hit the spot. Hit the spot means you must be feeling really hungry. So you satisfy that hunger. So that piece of cake, let's say cake, that piece of cake hit the spot. Means I was so hungry when I ate it, I actually felt good. I had been craving it. Next, hold your horses. We say this very often. Hold on to your horses or hold your horses. Means be patient. So sometimes we want a Domino's delivery, right, in less than half an hour. So we can tell our friends, hold your horses. There's still 10 minutes left for the pizza to come. Okay. In ages, it's been ages we met. Means it's been a very, very long time that we met. In over one's head. Okay. It means to take on too many responsibilities. So it's gone over my head. I've taken way too much responsibility, or I've taken something very, very difficult. In the nick of time. Nick of time means nearly late. Okay, like just on time. If it would have been 1 minute later, means he is late. Just on time. That's nick of time. It's a piece of cake. Piece of cake means easy. John Hancock is a signature. If you just put your John Hancock here, which means your signature, the deal will be complete. Not very oftenly used in India. Jump the gun. Jump the gun means to do something very fast. Okay. So Mr. Stark always jumps the gun and Hulk never gets to tell the story. He always comes to the conclusion. He always wants to finish things really fast. Then this you would have heard in school or college. I know it by heart. This subject, I know it by heart. Means you know it very easily. It's stuck in your head. It's like you saved it in your memory. Know the ropes. Know the ropes means to be comfortable or to be familiar with something. Okay, so if it takes new students a little while to get to know the ropes, but then they seem to do just fine. So new students, they take some time to understand the procedure, but then they become okay once they understand the procedure. Make ends meet. Make ends meet means make enough money just to survive, not being able to make any savings, just till you can manage your expenses. Okay. Make a mountain out of a molehill. Make a mountain out of a molehill. The issue might be really tiny. It's a small issue, but you show as if it's something really, really huge. Then 90 to nothing. 90 to nothing means to work very hard and in a very fast manner. Okay. With everything Tim has to finish before May, he feels like he has been going 90 to nothing. Means working hard and working very, very fast. Let's take a pause here and try to form a sentence now. I turned in my assignment just at the nick of time. Fantastic. I have an exam this week. I'm hitting the books as I'm not prepared. Lovely. I have an exam. I have to study hard because I've not prepared in the past. Brilliant. Let's move on. So we've reached the alphabet N. In fact, tell me, is it okay if I give this as an assignment for you to now go ahead and read the remaining, and for every 5 sentences, you will form one sentence. So what I mean to say is, right from this page, not worth a hill of beans. You will read 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And from the 5, you'll make a sentence for 1. Then you'll read the next 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pick one idiom and make a sentence for it. Does that sound like a good deal? Do you think you can do that? Lovely. So that's your assignment for this session. And now we are going ahead and we are proceeding with how can you improve your communication skills? So yes, this was one way through idioms. But apart from idioms, I have something very interesting for you, which is storytelling. So I'm going to talk to you about some ways in which you can become a great storyteller. Now, apart from storytelling, I'll also be talking to you about listening skills so that you know the importance of listening. And don't think that communication only means talking, it also means listening. So, if you want to be a good communicator, you also need to listen, right? So, with that, we are moving to the next segment of today's session. The first segment was idioms. We are now going to move and talk about storytelling. All right. So tell me, have you been following the spoken English daily plan or not? Pause this video and really reflect, go back and see how many days of the planner have you filled. If you've not filled in after the first session, then it's a wake up call. So wake up call again is an idiom, which means that it's time to start doing it again now. Okay. So it's a wake up call. If you've not been doing it, trust me, if you don't do the English planner, then it'll be difficult for you to improve. So I would encourage that you do it every single day, and the rest of the tips that I keep giving you, like storytelling and idioms and other things, will become really simple. But if you don't practice the spoken English exercises, you don't fill the daily plan, then you won't be able to be fluent in your communication. And if you're not fluent enough, then no matter how nice your story is, it's not going to be interesting. No matter what idiom you use, it's not going to be interesting. So when you do the spoken English daily exercises, you become fluent. Your speech becomes clearer as well. All right. So do you remember the 15 tips that we spoke in the last session? The 15 tips of the last session. Take a pause and go back to the tips, because now I'm going to do tip number 16 with you. Okay, so the first 15 tips, take a pause and just check them out. Awesome. I'm guessing you've done that. Now let's move to tip 16, which is storytelling. And then we're going to go to tip 17, which is listening skills. All right. So this is your tip number 16, which is storytelling. Now you may think, what exactly is storytelling? Am I expected to share fairy tales and stuff? Not at all. Storytelling in this case means business storytelling. So even if you're not on a job, it simply means you try to give professional working examples. Yes, you might not be on a job, you might not have work related examples, but you'll have like a group project example, which shows that you can be a good employee, you can be a good fit to the company, right? So in storytelling, we look at business storytelling or professional storytelling, as we call it. Now the question is, why storytelling? So pause this video and think, why storytelling? Why do we need business storytelling? Why do you have to share situations about when you were working in a team or in your previous company or when you were interning somewhere? Why do you need that? So think about it. Yes, we humans are emotional beings. We love listening to stories. Think about it. When you were a kid, would some family member share stories with you? Or would you share it for your siblings, your younger siblings, to put them to sleep, or not necessarily always to put them to sleep? It could also be because they're getting bored and they come to you and they say, "Can you tell me a story?" Would you listen to stories as a kid, or would you tell stories as a kid? You would, right? And with the help of stories, what would happen? Do you think you would understand things better? Like, I'm sure you would have read those storybooks, which had some lessons at the end of the stories. So the story was shared with the intention to teach you some lesson in life, a moral lesson, as we call it, right? So that we can relate to it, so that life becomes easier, we understand things better, and it stays with us for longer. I'm sure you would remember at least one story which you would have heard in your childhood from a family member or a teacher or some friend. I'm very confident you would remember, right? Now, the reason you remember that story is because something clicked you could relate to it. There was some lesson that was shared in that story which stays with you till today, right? So same way, while we have grown up, okay, we have grown up, but our love for stories has not stopped. So same way, when you go for an interview, if you want to be that noticeable one, you want to stand out differently, you want to set yourself apart, it's important that you share stories. And by stories, I don't mean to make up stuff. I mean sharing the real things that happened in your life. Okay. So storytelling sets you apart. It reinforces your personal brand. What do I mean by that? So personal brand is nothing but you sharing your opinions, you sharing your views on certain topics. Now, when through a story you share your views, you appear to be a much more a matured person, somebody who has a good thought process, somebody who thinks deep, not somebody who does not think or thinks at a very superficial level. You look like somebody who really thinks about things from a very strategic or a logical point of view, right? And why do we say that strategic or logical? Because you always go back to the past experience, which was a story, and you share it and the lesson you learned from it. And this story you keep with you so that you remember the lesson for future projects as well, right? Apart from that, story makes you feel like you're experienced. So think of it this way: if you go for an interview, okay, let's say you are the interviewer and I come for an interview, okay, and you ask me, can you share some experience that you have of working in a team? And I say, yes, I've worked in 3, 4 teams. Okay, that's my answer to you. Let's say some other candidate comes and your question is the same. And the candidate says, yes, yes, I have worked in 4 teams till now. In fact, in one of my teams, we had faced this challenge where this happened, and these were the things that we did, and the lessons we learned from this were this. Okay, so now you see, which one did you prefer, the first one or the second one? First answer or the second answer? Take a pause and think about it. Yeah, the second one. I'm guessing you said the second one. Uh, that's purely because it sounds like your experience. It sounds like you've actually gone through. Maybe the first person also who came would have experience working in a team, would have faced challenges, but she did not share. So the interviewer does not know whether she really faced issues or not, whether she has experience or not working in teams. But the second person actually shared a tiny story, and that made her sound, that set her apart. She became noticeable. She shared her personal opinion and views, and she appeared experienced, right? Moving on, storytelling also increases recall value. So recall value simply means it stays with you for longer in your memory. Just like we spoke some time back, that I'm sure you would remember at least one story that you heard in your childhood. Why would you remember it? Because there was a lesson that you use till today. That's why the recall value is high. So it's important that when you share stories, you don't just share any time pass stories. You share really good stories, which the interviewer will remember for a long period of time. And for all you know, the interviewer might want to share your story somewhere else with someone else, right? When he or she is going for some event or to talk at a particular conference or on a stage show, they may just want to go ahead and share your example, right? Storytelling also helps the opposite person, which is the interviewer, to understand why you are suitable for the job. All right. Now I just gave you the example. Person one just says, yes, yes, I've worked in teams. And the second person explains how he or she has worked in teams. And maybe the job requirement is that we need somebody who's worked in teams. So it makes him or her suitable for the job, right? So you don't have to just share any stories. You always have to look at the situation. So in this case, let's say you're going for an interview, you have to go through the job description really, really well and understand what are the qualities they're looking for in a candidate. And then ask yourself, okay, these are the qualities they need. Let me just think about it. What all experiences have I had? And I'll share those. So those experiences are nothing but stories, right? Moving on, don't you feel stories help us to bond better? You would have seen it in your childhood. You would have seen it even, let's say, you became friends in college with somebody, and you shared about a story in school or college, and they said, oh, the exact same thing happened with me as well. Don't you think the bond became better? Because when you share stories, you're evoking emotions. It's all about emotional building, right? It's all about emotion building. So wherever emotions come in, that's when really, and positive emotions. Whenever positive emotions come in, the relationships get stronger. Lovely. Moving on. Okay. Now the question is fine. I know why storytelling. I understand the importance of storytelling, but how do I go about sharing stories? I have never shared a story in my life. I don't think I can share stories. So calm down. Here today, I have a lot of templates for you on how you can become a great storyteller. Okay. But before you start sharing the story, first thing you need to understand, why do you have to share a particular story? So just going back to that example, whenever you're going for a job, okay, for a job interview, look at the job description really well. Look at what they need in a candidate. Let's say you came across 5 things that they need in a candidate. Okay. Think, it'll take you some time. Think for 4 5 hours or maybe 1 or 2 days, that what stories do I have? What 5 different stories do I have for these 5 different qualities? So let's say if they ask me a team related question, I have a story around team. If they ask me about, let's say, a mindset related question, I have a story around that. If they ask me an issue regarding some self doubt, I have some experience regarding that. So always understand the purpose, why you have to share a story. Most of the times it's to prove that I am a good fit for the job. So let's say if they require a team player, the purpose of my story is to prove that I'm a team player. If they require a multitasker, somebody who can do multiple tasks at the same time, the purpose of my story is to prove that I'm going to be a good multitasker, right? Next is, of course, always check what qualities are they looking for and then decide your story. Know what's on your resume. Now, this is very, very, very important. When you're going for a job interview and you're sharing some stories, the story that you share, the numbers, the incidents, the facts that you share should match with what's there on your resume. It should not happen that in your resume you've written that I generated 1,000 leads, and while sharing your story, you say I generated 300 leads. Everything needs to match with your LinkedIn profile as well as with your resume. All right. Next, it's important to understand the recruiter or the hiring manager as well. Let's take a pause here and think, why is it important to understand the recruiter or the hiring manager? Like, how is it going to help my storytelling? Take a pause and think about it. It can be tailor-made for him or her. And yes, when it's tailor-made, he will feel better about it. Absolutely. Absolutely, it will be more relatable. Fantastic. So when you understand the hiring manager better, you understand what kind of things he or she is looking for, and then based on that, you share stories. Okay, let's take one example. Let's say I know, like I went on LinkedIn and I searched who is going to interview me tomorrow. I searched his or her profile, and from his profile, I realized that he or she has been the employee of the month. Okay, let's take an example. He or she has been an employee of the month 2 times in this year. So now that helps me understand that this person is an achiever. They like getting awards, rewards. So I'll go back and think, can I think of any story in my life where I showed that I'm an achiever, where I achieved rewards, and then I will talk about it. What I'm trying to do is find things common between him and me, because the more the common things, the better the chances of bonding, right? I'm not saying we have to bond with him as a friend. All we're trying to do is we're going to get into a space where he feels that this person is similar to me. We all like having people who think like us, right? Like, let's take one example. Let's say you go to your office and you see everyone drinks coffee, but you love chai a lot, you love tea a lot. And then suddenly one day you see that there's somebody having tea. Don't you think you're going to bond better with that person because you found somebody who is just like you, who loves tea? The same thing happens even in our caste, right? If let's say you're a Gujarati and you find another Gujarati, you tend to bond better because it's something common. Or let's say, especially Indians abroad, if let's say you are from India and you go to Canada to work and you find another Indian there, suddenly you feel that there's bond, somebody from my country is here, right? So we humans like to be in safe spaces. Safe spaces means with those people who are just like us. And same way, your recruiters also are humans, of course, and they also have the similar thinking that if a person is like me, I would love to hire him. So it's important to understand the hiring manager. Next, of course, you have to know about the company, why the company is into existence, what products do they have, how did they overcome the challenges, and so on. And this information, again, you will see if you have something in common and talk about it, or you can do it the other way as well. You can share the story of the company itself and why it motivated you. So you are doing the storytelling, which is the story of the company, and then you're talking about how it was motivating you to actually come ahead and join this company. All right. Moving on, target market is important. Now, in this case, what I mean is, let's say I'm not talking from an interview perspective right now. Okay. Let's say if I have to run an ad for people who are 20-year-olds. So my target market is 20-year-olds, and I have to run an ad for them. Now, a 20-year-old loves to have maybe iPhone, maybe watches, maybe some materialistic stuff, maybe memes, absolutely. So I will try to do those kind of things which appeal to a 20-year-old. Whereas if I'm talking to a 60-year-old, memes won't appeal to that person, right? Me talking in a particular, the Gen Z lingo, as we call. What is Gen Z lingo? Like the words that they use, a 60-year-old won't be able to understand that, right? So you have to keep your target market also in mind, and then use your words or your strategies. And again, see, we're talking specifically to storytelling. Whenever you even think of sharing a story, ask yourself who's on the hearing side, who's going to listen to the story, and then plan your story. Okay. You can also think of the business challenges, and that in itself can become a story again. So either business challenges means the company for which you're interviewing, their challenges, or it could be in the past, the company that you were working for, their challenges. Now, these things, how they help us? They help us to form better stories. When we have this information, we just have to think in this situation, what did we do? And that itself becomes a story. Okay. Next is you need to know about their competitors, and you also need to note down why do you feel you fit in. Okay. This is for companies specifically. If you're looking to apply for a role, it's important to note down, according to you, why do you think you are a good fit for this role? And when you're planning this answer, try to give one example, and that one example would be a story which would kind of sum up that this is your personality and it matches with what they're looking for in a candidate. All right. Next, always note down your reasons as to how your skills could help them. Okay. These are things that are very important before you actually even start thinking about a story. So I would suggest you could pause this video right now and just think on these things. I'm not telling you to form any answers right now. Just think and maybe take very quick, rough notes on these things. Maybe, for example, you have a company in mind to which you want to apply. You could just go to the job description, look at it, and quickly in rough note down why do you think you can fit in. And same way, what are the skills that you have that could help the company? You could take a note of those things also, because these things that you note down right now will now help you when we start trying to form a story. All right. So you can take a pause here and go ahead and maintain your notes. Now, I hope you've done that. If not, pause this video, go back and continue writing till you're done, and then come back and start this video again. Lovely. So I'm hoping you've done that. Now let's go ahead and look at how exactly do you become a great storyteller. Okay. So to become a great storyteller, you need to check what you already know. Always check what is the knowledge that I have. It's not that you have to go and search on Google for new knowledge. Stories are always about things that have happened in the past, which means things that you already know. Next, always pull out the truth from the experience. You don't have to fake things, you don't have to put false things. Just look at what the truth was from the experience. What were the lessons learned? What were the learnings that came out? All right. Choose those stories which the opposite person will be able to relate to. If I'm talking to a kid, there's no point talking about a business story. If I'm talking to a business person, there's no point talking about a story I narrated to my niece or nephew, right? Next, be authentic, don't fake, because when you fake, it shows in your body language, right? And we're going to talk a lot about body language in the next session. So for that, we'll park that thing for now. But the point is be authentic, because if you're fake, you're not real, it comes across through your body language, through your tone of voice as well. Okay. And next, remember WIIFM. This is a question that every person who's listening to your story has in his mind. Okay. Any idea what is WIIFM? So WIIFM stands for what's in it for me. Okay, what's in it for me? So each time a person is listening to you, in his head, he's saying, what's in it for me? He's thinking, which means that if I'm listening to your story, what am I going to get in return? Okay, so put yourself in their shoes, put yourself over there, and imagine if I were in his place, what would I want? In this case, obviously, if it's an interview and I'm the interviewer, I would want that he shares relevant examples which will prove to me that he is a good candidate for this role. So always think, what does the other person want? And then based on that, share stories, right? Moving on. So now let's talk about the 6-step approach to great storytelling. In order to be a great storyteller, these are the 6 steps you need to do. Step number 1 is to prepare the examples in advance. Okay. So let's talk from an interview perspective for now. Never ever make the mistake of sharing stories on the spot in interviews. Yes, it may happen that there has been a question that has been raised in an interview which you did not expect, and there, of course, you're sharing story on the spot. But apart from that, it's your duty, it's your responsibility to go through the frequently asked interview questions, go for multiple mock interviews, and understand the kind of questions that are asked, and then sit to, note down the stories. So let's say I went for 2, 3 interviews and I realized these are the questions they always ask me. For these questions, now I'll plan my examples so that for my next interview, I do really well. And when I say examples, I mean stories over here. Okay, so that's step number 1. This includes frequently asked interview questions. This also includes your early memories. Sometimes it happens that even for a business scenario, your childhood memory can help in some way. Let's say, in my case, just to give you an example, many times people ask me, Ria, you were in marketing. How did you shift to the training and coaching space? So it goes back to, my school days when I used to actually train people on personality development, and I used to take tuitions for them. So it started very young in school, which I used to do for time pass. I used to not earn out of it. I used to just help people. But then that thing went on with me. It was more like a hobby, which later on I realized that I want to make a full-time profession out of it. So this is my early memory. Now, while we are talking business, this childhood memory can come in. It can be plugged over here. Okay. Also think of any acts of kindness or generous acts that you've done. So with this, what happens is it shows that you're somebody who is empathetic. So anytime in the past you helped a team member, or somebody was facing a challenge, and you help them out, it could even be helped by way of just a phone call or sharing a tip or two with them, right? But anything that you've done out of kindness, out of care, think about those examples. Okay. Also think about mistakes. It's very important. You don't have to be that perfect person who says, never ever in my life I've made mistakes. Guess what? If you say that, you'll be rejected. We all want to work with people who've made mistakes and learned from their mistakes. We don't want people who made mistakes and keep making the same mistakes again and again. We want people who make mistakes, learn from mistakes, and make new mistakes to get new lessons. Okay. So in your stories, it's okay to share mistakes that you've made in your life, but always end the story by talking about the lessons that you learned from those mistakes. Okay. Your greatest life lessons. And you can also think about certain situations, the time when you disagreed with a mentor or a co-worker and so on. You can always think of these kind of examples. Okay. You can also think about times, how did you motivate yourself? How did you motivate other people in college, during your internship, and so on. Okay. So I'm just giving you a lot of things to think about, and these could be examples in your notepads. In fact, this is going to be an assignment for you where you have to come back to this part of the video again. Look at all that's given in the deck and just note down the example. You don't have to write the entire story. You just need to note down what example will you give if this question was asked. Let's say in the interview, they ask you a question, how do you make decisions? So you should be able to give an example, and that example is through storytelling. Okay, like for me personally, I like to use the balance sheet approach. What is balance sheet approach? Which means on the left side, I write the pros, on the right side, I write the cons of the situation. And whatever seems to be heavier, not necessarily by number of pros or number of cons, but heavier, like more attractive, I take that decision. So now, once I share this, I have to give an example of when I used it in my life and what was the result that I got. Right? So for these things, just note down your examples. Okay, that was step number one. Step number two, now comes the thing where you have to plan the structure when you're sharing your story. So the structure includes these templates that we are going to be doing today. The star, the sari, the pains to gains, the scar, there's IRS. Now you must be wondering, what is all this? Hold on, let me just complete the 6 steps, and then I'm going to literally walk you through all of these. These are nothing but storytelling templates, which basically means I'll give you the formula. All you need to do is insert the information and your story is ready. Okay. So this is step number 2, where you have to put a structure. Step number 3 is add power words. So power words simply mean using good words, not necessarily fancy words. It just means good words. So instead of saying, I got 100 on 100, okay, I can say something like, I scored 100 on 100, or I accomplished my goal of getting 100 on 100. That's a power. Those are power words where I'm trying to use better words which create a better impression. Please understand, power words do not mean difficult words. It just mean choosing a better word. That's it. All right. Moving to step number 4. If you feel you have the humor and a good sense of humor, then add it, but be very wise. Okay. Don't overdo it, because you don't know how the other person is going to take it. So if you feel you are witty, you have an intelligent sense of humor, then use it. Otherwise, let it be. Skip step 4. Step number 5 is always ensure that you practice your stories before going for interviews. Do not make the mistake of just planning the structure and directly going for interviews, because then your storytelling will go for, will literally go for a toss. What you want to do is rehearse that story at least 2-3 times and then go for the interview. And step number 6 is always be a good listener, because like even right now, you can hear a story, and that story you can use it somewhere else. Even when you're on the road, let's say you're traveling from your home to your college or to your office, there are so many things happening on the road. You could just see a story over there and you can add it to your story bag. When I say story bag, I mean just keep collecting these stories and you can share them. You never know when a story might be of some use to you and when that story can actually help you to get something, right? So I'll just give you this one example. You may want to Google it, and I'll give you an example of adding stories along the way. So there was this time, it was 2017. I was in Mumbai, and I was waiting for a rickshaw to go from my work to my home. And I don't know what was it that day. I was just not getting any rickshaws. But suddenly I just changed my lane. I thought, let me change my lane, start walking. I saw a really nice, colorful rickshaw, and it was a very celebration kind of a rickshaw, as if there's some nice celebration inside with a lot of pictures and some nice scents, and there was a nice, colorful, music system and all of that. I was happy. I went and sat in that rickshaw. And then I realized that this is no ordinary rickshaw. This guy has been featured all over the internet. He is there. He's come on TV. I think he's also done a TED talk recently, if I'm not mistaken. And then I just started having this conversation with this fellow. I asked this rickshaw guy, I asked him, what motivated you to make your rickshaw so happy and cheerful? And that ride was a long ride. It was 40 minutes journey back home. And he shared such amazing stories about life, about he himself calling himself Munna Bhai SSC. He's a big Sanjay Dutt fan. So he said, I could not do my MBBS. I'm just an SSC pass. So I call myself Munna Bhai SSC. Right. So those things teach that money does not, kind of choose whether you can be happy or not. Even with less money, even when you travel in a rickshaw and not in a Mercedes or a Lamborghini, you can still get that joy. It created such a beautiful, kind of environment in the rickshaw itself. So you may want to Google this up. You can just search for Munna Bhai SSC rickshaw and you'll find this person with a lot of articles on the internet. All right. So moving on. Okay. So that was step number 6. Now let's come back to step number 2, which are the templates related to storytelling. Okay. So the first one is STAR. Now STAR simply stands for situation, task and involvement, action, result. Okay. So what this means is that each time you have to share a story, first start with the situation. For example, last Tuesday at 6:30 p.m., I was in office. Now that's the situation. Task and involvement means what was the task given to you? We were really tied up for deadlines. We were really crunched for time. I'm also using idioms now. We were really crunched for time and the client wanted his project in 2 hours time. Okay. Now that was task and involvement. We had to complete a client's project in 2 hours time. What was the action we took? We went ahead and we called up all our interns, told them to come to office for a party. And they came in, we delegated the task, and the result was the work was completed in time. And we had a fantastic party, which went on till Saturday morning. Okay, so you saw with the help of STAR, what I did is I had a story. I just put it in the right order so that I don't beat around the bush. Okay, beat around the bush. I hope you remember the idiom now. I don't be repetitive. I don't keep talking the same thing again and again. But I also ensure that when I'm using the template, I am being specific to the point and I'm not missing out on important information. Because in a story, these are the elements that matter. The situation, what task was given, how did we complete the task, that was the action, and what was the result. Sometimes the result could also be that you failed in the task, you could not complete it. It's fine. Then the result in that case, you should mention that we did not do well, we failed at it, but the lesson was, and then you transition to something positive, which was a good lesson that you learned. Right? So that's the first one. Moving to the second one. Now you'll notice that these are pretty similar. The second one is SARI, S-A-R-I. So SARI, in SARI, we say the situation and task together. So we club the situation and the task. Then we share the action, then the result. And now we share some interesting learning as well. So if you notice, SARI and STAR are pretty similar. The only difference is that you share a learning at the end. Okay. Moving to next one. This one is my favorite, and we see this very, very, very often. I'm sure you would have seen this in movies as well. Think about it. You would have seen at least bare minimum one movie where when you started the movie, they give you a nice background about this protagonist, this main actor. What was his name? What was his age? Which part of India was he from? How was his house? What would he do? How were his parents? So they would give a background about this fellow. And then, underdog story, absolutely. And then they would talk about how his life was going okay till something really drastic, something really bad happened. Okay. And then now when this bad thing happened, his only goal in life was to make things better. So in order to make things better, he went ahead and he took one attempt. He tried, but he failed. He tried again, but he failed. He tried the third time, and it felt like he's almost there, but then again he fell. But this time when he felt so bad that he became more stubborn, he became more determined, and he re-strategized. There was a twist in the plot, and that's when usually the intermission also happens. And then he took off again, and this time he was successful. So that's the pain to gain journey. You will see it very often in movies, in books as well, right? So how is the template? First, to do a setting of who this person is, who's the, setting means the environment, which year, which era, then who is the main character, talk a little bit about him, and then you talk about one problem or one pain he has in his life. And because of that pain, what all challenges is he facing? So we can actually, I'm not too sure if you've seen the movie Lagan. If not, you can just go ahead and read the summary of the movie. If not, watch the entire movie and you'll see this exact template. So Lagan is about pre-independence era. Just go back and fit the plot and you'll see everything match really well. Or even if you see Chak De India or you see Gold, those kind of movies, you'll always find the template happening. Okay, so there's a pain. What all problems is he facing because of that pain? And then what attempts he took? Attempt number 1, he failed. Attempt number 2, he failed. Attempt number 3, he was almost there, but he failed. And then final attempt, he was winning. Okay, so the wall is basically each time he was attempting, he was failing, attempting, failing. Okay, but one fine day, he got so stubborn and determined that finally he got the result. And that was the climax, like a happily ever after, India winning the match, and so on. Those are the results. That's the climax, right? And then the lesson, they also sometimes share the lesson. What happened after we got this result? Like, for example, in 1983, when India won the cricket match, the World Cup, the result was, yes, India won. But what was the lesson? That we are no less. The foreigners used to think that Indians are not great. In fact, even Indians had doubt in their own Indian cricket team. And that lesson that we learned was that you cannot just underestimate people. In fact, there was a lot of bonding happening. There were a lot of communal rights that time. And because of the Indian match, people would come together in each other's houses and watch the match as well, right? So there were a lot of team building lessons. There were a lot of lessons related to relationship building and so on. And then you can also talk about how life changed after you achieved that thing, all right? So that is the pains to gain story. That's my personal favorite. Moving to the next one, the car template. Okay, I want you to take a pause right now, skim through your notes and see if there's any question that you have, if there's anything that you are confused about. Because if you keep proceeding with templates, you can just get confused. It's important to keep pausing in between, checking your notes, understanding the concept, and then moving to the next concept. All right. Great. So I'm guessing you've paused this video and you've gone through you've skimmed through the previous templates and then you're continuing this video. Awesome. So now comes the car template. Now car is a very simple template. So car stands for challenge, actions, result. Okay, it's similar. So instead of giving the whole pains to gain story, you're keeping it crisp. Many a times, you don't have much to share. You have a very short story. That's when star helps. If you have a very long story, you need to add a little bit of suspense. You need to add a little bit of drama. That's when you do pains to gains. Otherwise, you use these tinier templates. So in case of car, you can use it for smaller examples. Like let's say they ask you a question. Did you face any conflicts while working in a team? So you can tell, yes, there was this one time when we were working on so-and-so project. The challenge we were facing was a language barrier. I could not understand Hindi and my team members preferred to talk in Hindi. The action we took was that each time somebody would talk in Hindi, they would go ahead and deposit 5 rupees in the jar. And as a result, we all would talk in the same language and we did a great team performance and this is what happened. Okay, you can just mention the marks you got or something like that. So this is a very tiny story. So you can use a car template out there. All right. Moving on to IRS. Now, IRS is pretty similar. It's just a new full form, but it's pretty similar to all that we've done. So, intriguing beginning, you give a really nice beginning which arouses interest. Then you hold their attention, you build some suspense, and then you go ahead and give a very nice ending, which kind of convinces the other person that your product quality is good or your work quality is very good. Most of the times, the IRS template is used for advertisements where they put a hook, they give you like question, क्या आपके toothpaste में नमक है? Right? They are arousing interest. Then they go ahead and tell you some details, and then they convince you about their brand and the good quality. Right? So that's the IRS template. Okay. So those were things related to storytelling. It's beautiful when you start sharing stories. Initially, you will hesitate a bit. It's absolutely normal. But when you continue saying stories, I would encourage you, I would invite you to share minimum one story every day with whichever person you meet. Okay, only that way can you cultivate the art of storytelling. And along the way, you are going to make some mistakes in storytelling. So just want to warn you about that. Just remember, it is okay if you make a mistake or two. There's no problem at all, because through mistakes only we learn, right? We are not born perfect. So the first mistake is not having a structured story, everything going haphazard. Many a times when people are nervous, they go ahead and, kind of go haphazard, where they tell the action first and then they explain the challenge. You always have to set the context, which is the situation or the challenge, then talk about the actions and then move to the result. Next, only telling. I am helpful, I'm adaptable, I'm this, I'm that. Prove it, don't tell, prove it. Instead of saying I'm a great team player, whom would you believe when a person comes and says I'm a very good team player, versus a second one who shares a story that proves that he is a good team player, right? Obviously, you will choose the person who is able to prove it, right? So don't just say I am this, I am that. Prove it with the help of stories. And your stories don't have to be long. They could be tiny, like mini stories, which could just be 20 seconds, 30 seconds. At times, if needed, if a situation was very drastic, you would go for 1 minute long stories, right? And then this happened, then that happened, then my mother said this, then my teacher said this, then that happened. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. So you got to be careful. Next, using too many jargons. So don't use fancy words. You may feel wow, the other person might just not understand what you're speaking. And all the efforts that you take towards sharing a good story, they're all down the drain, right? I hope we are making note of the idioms that we are hearing throughout today's session, right? All are going to go down the drain because you are taking the efforts, but the opposite person can't understand. And do not assume that just because this person is the interviewer, his English will be very good. Okay, or he'll be able to understand tough words. Nothing like that. I'll be open and honest to you. There are times when I take interviews and there are students who mug up some really fancy words and they use it to impress, and I'm clueless. There have been times when I say, okay, hold on, what do you mean by that word? I've never heard that word. And then the students are shocked. But why is it assumed that if a person is an interviewer, he or she would know the meaning of every word? Don't assume that. Keep it simple. Yes, simplicity is the key. Absolutely. Okay. Next, this is, I think, one of a very, this is one of the most common mistakes, but most dangerous mistakes also. Not adding any emotion or expression in your story. Okay, if you don't add emotion, you don't, kind of express through your face, facial expressions, and through your voice, vocal expressions, then it may look like it's a made up story. But when the emotions come out, when the tone of voice changes, the facial expressions change, that's when the opposite person will really believe that you've actually gone through this, right? So please do not be robotic. When you are doing your stories daily, please add expressions or emotions. Next, do not bluff, because your body language, your tone of voice, give it away that you have not really been in that situation, right? This is another mistake that people make, that they don't share their stories in a video format. They feel, let me type out my stories. Okay. Yes, you type out, you like writing, that's fine. But I would always urge you, because we are looking at spoken English, right? We are looking at improving our spoken English skills. I would always urge you that please shoot videos of the stories that you share and post it online. And what stories are these? These are all stories related to your profession. When you do that and you post it on LinkedIn, trust me, job search becomes really simple. Because before even calling you for the interviewer is convinced that you're a great fit, right? They don't have to sit and ask you questions to prove you're a great fit. They can have a much more meaningful, a much more matured conversation with you, which could be, where can I fit you in? Which role? What authority can I give you? Right? So don't shy away from sharing videos online. Please do it. What do you call you don't need high quality equipment. You don't need expensive material. All you need is the intention to share a good story, which is a true story, which evokes emotions. Okay. But please do share, because this way you will be able to work on your spoken English skills, and the world will see your capability, and hiring you will be as easy as pie. Right. Moving on, waiting for the interviewer to ask you a story. Never ever make this mistake. I interview so many students, and they feel that if I unnecessarily share stories, the interviewer might, get irritated. But guess what? The interviewer really wants to know stories from you. They purposely don't ask you stories because they feel that it'll waste their time, or they feel that maybe you don't have a story, right? I'm not saying share it unnecessarily. If you have a story that matches the question, please share it. And remember to share many stories. We don't want 3-4 minute long stories. We just want 30-second stories, upper limit 1 minute stories. Okay. Next, I have an activity, or you can call it an assignment, for the next 5 days. Okay, so the first assignment was idioms. You have to go through the remaining idioms and make sentences. For every 5 idioms, pick one and write a sentence. The second activity or assignment that I have for you is, every day for the next 5 days, go ahead and post a story on LinkedIn or Instagram, whichever channel you're comfortable with. You can even shoot videos in selfie mode. There is no problem at all, as long as it does not look bad. Our only concern is that it should not look that the angle is bad. Even if you keep your phone at a selfie, put it on a tripod, or put books, stack up books, and put up some stand. You can just make stand out of objects at your place, right? Like with boxes and stuff. Or place your camera in such a way that the video that you shoot, it is at a good angle, the lighting is fine. That's all that matters. And of course, the video should not, I won't say it has to be the best quality. It's just that it should not be poor quality. It should not be pixelated. All right. And what you could do is, since it's next 5 days, you could look at all the 5 templates that we looked at: star, sari, car, IRS, pains to gain. So you have 5 templates, 5 days. Every day, pick one template and think of a story around it and share the story. All right. So I hope you're game for that. I hope we have a deal there that you're going to do this. Okay. With that, I am now moving to tip number 17, which is listening skills. Okay. Super duper important. And listening is a fantastic way of showing that you are a good communicator. Okay, because remember the communication process, there is a speaker who's the sender, but there's also a receiver who's the listener. If there's no listener, then the communication cannot happen. Like, just to give you the example again, if I'm talking to a wall, expecting a response, that the wall is not a person, the wall is not a listener, right? So listening is very, very important. Now comes the question: what is the difference between listening and hearing? Do you remember this? Do you remember the difference between listening and hearing? Pause this video. If you don't, go back to your notes and check it out. So if you remember, we spoke, listening is physically, mentally, emotionally present. Hearing is physically present, mentally absent, maybe even emotionally absent, right? Next up, now let's learn how do you become a better listener. Okay. So there are 3 stages of listening. The first stage is a very superficial stage where you just care about the information, and that's why you are listening. You just tell me this information quickly. I need to make a note, and I need it, and then you go off. Okay, that's centered listening. Better than that is intensive listening. We are focusing on what the other person is talking. You're asking them questions, you're getting more clarity. And the best of all is comprehensive listening, where yes, you are collecting information, you are focusing on the other person, you are asking questions to gain clarity, but you're also being empathetic and you're trying to understand the other person. You're understanding their behaviors, you're understanding their moods, the psychological biases. We spoke about the psychological context, right? You're literally looking at this person as a human being, not judging him or her, understanding his personality, looking at his behaviors, okay, and not making judgments. That is a comprehensive listener. So we always start with this. Whenever you are in a new relationship, like you've just met a colleague, or you've just gone for an interview. So not necessarily interview, I would say meeting. In fact, you start the relationship on this note: let me collect information. But with time, the relationship can get better and can move to intensive and can move to comprehensive. When there is comprehensive listening happening between both the parties, that is when a true relationship is built. All right. So remember the stages of listening. Now, over here, when you are listening, there are three things that happen. Okay. You are understanding, you are trying to interpret what the other person is saying, because sometimes the person is not able to explain. So you understand their attitude, you understand their value system, their culture. Maybe they also have some barriers, maybe they also have some past experiences which are not so good. Maybe they have some profession which makes them like that. So for example, if you meet an army person, they will be very disciplined because that's their role, they are like that, right? So if you expect the person to not be disciplined, that's going to be very difficult, right? So you're understanding them, you're interpreting them, and you're evaluating the situation. You're not making judgments based on how the person is talking. You are evaluating that the person is talking this, but probably the person has gone through really bad stuff in the past, and that's why he is saying what he is saying. So when you don't do these things, when you don't consider these things, you are in hearing mode. But from hearing mode, when you consider these things, you understand, you interpret, you evaluate, and then you even remember what they spoke. It's not that you forget the moment you're out of the meeting, you should not forget, right? When you remember and then you respond to them, not necessarily that you have to respond right now itself. Maybe the response could be, let me get back to you by Tuesday, and you get back to them by Tuesday. So today the response was, I will get back to you by Tuesday, but the real response is on Tuesday, right? This is the Brownell-Harriers listening model, which says you can transition from hearing to responding if you keep these things in mind. So a great listener won't just listen to the words. We'll look at everything: the internal factors, the mood, the stresses, the past experiences, as well as the external factors, which are your barriers, physical barriers to communication. Internal are more or less psychological barriers. And of course, they will also look at organizational barriers, technical barriers, and so on. So let's take an example of the Harrier model. So this person, she is asking Otis, her dog, Otis, do you want a cookie? So Otis is now understanding the question. Okay. Next, Otis is trying to remember how that cookie was. Yes, that cookie smells yummy and I need to go ahead and grab it. And now Otis is also trying to interpret. Last time she gave me a cookie, she was so happy. She asked me whether I want it. She went ahead and was very friendly. She also took my name, Otis, right? He's interpreting. And then he feels, he's evaluating. Yes, this person seems safe. I can go ahead and trust her for me to go ahead and give me the cookie. She's not just here to make fun of me. She really likes me. She really wants to give me the cookie. And then he responds saying, woof, yes, I want the cookie. But let's say he remembers that, yes, the cookie smelled really good. But last time she was teasing me. Each time I came close to the cookie, she would just run away. So if he remembers this, then what will his evaluation be? No, she's teasing me. She's just here to make fun of me. I am not going to fall for it this time. And then he just walks away. He does not move. He does not respond. All right, that's the hurrier model. With that, we've come to the very last bit of today's session, which is the tips for active listening. Now, you may wonder, what is active listening? Simply put, active listening means being 100% focused on what the other person is talking. Okay, so we spoke about comprehensive listening. You can call it active listening itself. These are the signs of an active listener. So they will not be tempted to fix things for you. Okay, when somebody is sharing a problem, they may feel that not necessarily have to share the solution. Maybe this person is feeling bad. They just want to share their frustration. So let me not give free advice. Let me wait for the other person to ask me for advice, because everyone loves giving free advice, but nobody likes taking it, right? So an active listener understands that. Next, he always evaluates the conversation, just like you saw Otis do it. And they will never give advice quickly. They'll wait till the other person finishes talking and they'll gauge, does this person need advice? Or they might just wait for the other person to ask them for advice. Next, they will never ever judge. They will remember those filters that we spoke in the Hurrier model, which is the organization role, the previous experiences, and so on. They'll always be empathetic. They won't say, oh, this person is talking so rudely. They will put themselves in the other person's shoes and see, if I were in his place, would I do the same? So they're showing empathy. Next, they will use positive body language. Now, we're going to talk a lot more about positive body language when we catch up for our next session. But to explain it very simply over here, positive body language means those signs through which you show that you're engaged in the conversation, you are looking forward to hearing more from them. Next, an active listener will always ask questions, and they'll ask the questions at the right time. They won't interrupt the person, and they will always paraphrase. Paraphrase means after every important topic is done, they will go ahead and summarize that topic. Then the next topic will start. Once that topic is done, they will summarize that as well. So that's paraphrasing, frequent summaries. And at the end, they also summarize the whole conversation. All right. So these are the signs of an active listener. And with that, we've actually come to an end of today's session. We've done a lot of things today. I would really urge you to go ahead and recap everything, go through your notes again, follow the templates for different things that we spoke about, and start implementing these things. So, when you're listening to somebody, go ahead and try to see, am I being an active listener? Did I paraphrase? Did I summarize? Did I interrupt? Did I give free advice when it was not needed? Try to plug in all the learnings, and in no time you'll see. I mean, I can actually guarantee you, if you follow all the things that we are studying in these sessions, in a span of just 1 month, you'll see a great change in the way you communicate. All right. So with that, we've come to an end of today's session. I hope you found it valuable, and I'm looking forward to meeting you for our next session, where we're going to talk a lot on body language. See you then.